All right, so what we're looking at here is actually not the arcane cards as I thought at first, but they're in fact the divine magic cards. So, as you'll notice, they are truly in tarot card format. They're huge. We'll flip it over here. You can see this is the Dance of Death. This is one of the spells of the crouching one. I'll pull another one over here too. One thing you're going to notice about these cards as we go through them is that it includes all pertinent information about what magic spell you're using. So you'll have pretty much everything at your fingertips here. One other thing you also notice too is that at the top of every card there are a number of skulls. So if there is one skull, that means it's a petty magic spell. If there are 2 skulls, that means it's lesser magic. And then 3 skulls right there means it's greater magic, the most powerful magic that you can use as a caster of, in this case, the crouching one. So the card quality is really, really nice, and they feel like real playing cards. These are not cheaply produced by any means. These things are solid. So this is really exciting to show you, and you have all, like I said, all your information that you need at your fingertips. The name of the spell, all the details, and we stuck with just the technical writing on the back. We thought about including, at the top, like the description, the fluff description of the spell, but it just seemed to take away from the function of kind of what we wanted to do here. We wanted something clean, that could easily be read, almost like a crib sheet, in a sense, I guess you could say. So these cards are super, super cool. I'm actually going to move on to show you some other cards as well. And we'll go through the Divine deck here. We'll complete that. And then we'll move on to the Arcane deck. You have to forgive me here. I'm a little shaky with the camera. So here we go. Here is the Guttenberg. You should recognize that one. Chaos overturned. Damnation, once again, the 2 skulls to indicate it's lesser magic spell. Flames of Order. Heresy denied, a petty magic spell because of the 1 skull, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to go through some of these here until we get to the next set. It looks like our next set is actually for the learner, so that's pretty cool. And once again, every card has a 1, 2, or 3 skulls. All-Seeing Eye, that's actually one of my favorite spells of the learner that we had characters use around the table during the play test. Bonds of Justice, Criminal's Remorse, Eye for an Eye, that's fitting, right? How about that artwork? That's actually artwork from one of our new artists, Ken DeCat. He illustrated all of these and pulled these together, did all the layout on them. So they're pretty dang cool. They seem to kind of evoke almost like an old tarot deck. Oh, here we go. This is the one I was waiting for, the Leviathan. You can see that she has a giant claw right there pulling down the masthead of a ship, the eye along her breast, and the huge trident. She was a fun god to ride along with all of her spells. Becalmed Squall. That's, of course, a greater magic spell. Blessed Albatross, another greater magic spell. And we'll continue just filtering through these real quick. So I do want to have an opportunity to show you what else we have here. So the next set we're going to look at is actually for the Martyr. You may recognize that. And once again, something you'll probably notice is common among all these different spells is they all have different colored borders, which match the inside of the face. So there's no confusing these spells. They're all color-coded, so you're not going to mix them up, which is great. So if we're going back through the Martyr, we can see Cure Malady right there. There's Expel Poison. Once again, we've got Lay on Hand, should be familiar to some of you. Martyrdom, fitting. And once again, just a series of cards. And we then come to one of my favorite pieces of artwork in the deck is the Night Father. This one's super cool too. The Night Father, we've got Bargain Bin, and notice once again that border that's around the edge is carried in the background of the card. Eyes Without a Face. Billy Idol reference there. Flim Flam. Does you know something about 1940s language in the United States? Fortune favors the bold, and several others here as well. And that brings us now to the Steward. This one is such a fantastic piece of art, and it has kind of the Warhammer feel, the striped pants, the look of the aged crooked back of the Steward standing over those in the middle of in the field of combat. I'm going to scoot these cards over so we can take a look at these. So we've got Blazing Retribution. Once again, yellow in the corners, yellow predominantly in the card. Blitzkrieg, another fun one. We had fun use with that spell several times in our playtests. Commander's Vision. Reagent, a golden monocle worn over your eye. We always aim for fun stuff with the reagents. This is one thing I think that a lot of games kind of miss out on, is like the kind of creativeness behind the reagents, and more importantly, like how they're related to the spell. So for instance, Mask of Terror uses a mask made from copper worn upon your face. When I thought of that, I was kind of reminded of Excalibur when Mordred, the son of Arthur, wore that crazy mask that looked like a child's face. That was a big influence. Praise the Light. And some other spells here too. And I'm just going to go through them real quick so I can get to the rest of the deck. Which brings us to the Winter King. This is a really, really awesome image. When we thought about the Winter King, we were just uncertain of like, how could we possibly portray this god? What would he look like? And Ken really did a fantastic job kind of taking our vision and turning it into this. This is so cool. So the Winter King, of course, we have Bow Rage, reagent, fresh blood smeared upon your face, obviously expended because you're using the blood. We're also going to see here Dictum of the Winter King, a castle forged axe leveled at your enemy. Frostbite, a drop of frozen blood. And like before, we'll go through the cards here pretty quickly so we can see everything in this deck. Oh yes, we'll set this one aside just for a moment because I want to talk about what else we have here first of the other gods. And this image is probably my follow-up favorite image in this deck. This is the one in the Custodian. Very, very cool. You can see that they have the funerary shroud over her face, and she's holding the ruins of a burning manor home. Deja Vu. That's one of her spells here. Got Dreamweaver. Not a reference to the song, or maybe it is, I don't know. Obviously one skull means it's a petty magic spell. Final Rest. This is a fun reagent to write up the stake card from a rare ironwood driven to the unliving, which is awesome because that kind of actually draws from some of our own history when people were very superstitious about the dead and didn't want them to rise, so they would put stones between their teeth or drive a stake into their heart. We just kind of really tapped into some of that history to really kind of influence a lot of what we were doing here when we wrote the game. Sleepwalker, a handful of powdered gold poured onto the ground. A very expensive reagent for that matter, but it's a greater magic spell. And actually, most greater magic spells have very expensive reagents. That is very, very common. The reagents were made more and more expensive or more and more difficult to ascertain or find the higher, quote, level or tier of the spell. And that brings us finally here to the Demiurge, which obviously is the hermaphroditic god. You can see that, of course, it has like the rose, the idea of like the blossom, and the red hair, and the skull over the head. And I can't tell where Ken drew influence from this from, but you do note that she has like a lion's paw down here, so she is anthropomorphic to some degree. But we're really, I'm guessing if I flip these cards over, that red will be on the border, or the green. Let's see what it is here. The green, perfect. Actually pretty fitting. So Fury of the Wildlands, one of the most controversial reagents. The petrified penis of a troll held aloft. And actually you'll notice one of the trappings of a troll when you kill it is actually its petrified penis. So that actually plays into some of the reagents and some other fun stuff in the game. We really kind of leaned into the flavor of the reagents when we wrote them up. Here's another one, Hare's Speed, a rabbit's foot held on a chain. Pretty simple. Let's look at another Demiurge spell here. King of Beasts. It looks like these are actually kind of, the first three are petty, the next three are probably lesser, I would guess, or greater. Here, Mother's Cradle, the breast milk of a woodland nymph shared between the beneficiaries. Mother, if you've seen Mother's Cradle before, the effects. After successfully casting this spell, select a number of allies equal to your willpower bonus. Those affected immediately restore their peril condition track as if they had rested in safety, as indicated in Chapter 9, Hazards and Healing. A very powerful spell if you know about how, peril can be very, very tough to deal with in the game. Primordial Tongue, and so on and so forth. I think that actually brings us to the end of the deck. So we got a couple extra cards mixed in here because I dropped the deck earlier. So we'll look, finally, we'll take a look here. I'm actually going to look over the cards and see where they belong. Celestian Judgment belongs to the yellow one. They don't know where that's at. I'll put that there. And obviously the Custodian, once again, we get the color coding. So Beyond the Pale. It's actually the name of my personal wiki for my campaign world. So one thing that we have done in all of our decks is we've included all petty magic spells. That means that you're not kind of worried about having to buy the petty magic separate from the arcane magic, the divine magic. We just thought it was kind of a good thing to do. It just seemed like a good decision. So Aegis, or Aegis, depending on how you pronounce that, splinter of wooden shield kept in your pocket. Of course, it adds 3 to your damage threshold and keeps you from bleeding. The great thing is if you crit success, it actually makes you immune to damage inflicted by ranged weapons. A fun little spell for casters. Anoint Weapon. A lot of ways you could probably flavor this, because remember, both arcane and divine magic users share the same petty magic, generalist petty magic approach. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of flavor this. Bewitched. We've also got Cack-Handed Grasp. That looks really cool. Dab of animal fat rubbed between 2 fingers. Somebody instantly drops whatever's in their hand. A super useful spell. That's probably one of the most commonly used spells besides pinprick around the table here. Candlelight, Dispel Magic, and others. Well, that is our divine magic spells in total. And once again, as I said, it's about 114 cards or so, something along those lines. All of the divine magic gods and all their magic spells you can use, and the generalist petty magic too. So I'm going to close this video out and get this shared up online and bring these cards up for sale on drivethrurpg.com or just drivethrurcards.com. It doesn't really matter where you go, but I'll be providing links here shortly. Following this video, I'm actually going to do one for arcane magic, so stay tuned and happy adventuring.